Yo, what's going on, Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Bren and Automaton. And I want to make this comparison because I wanted to get to the bottom on which gun is better, or which gun is, I guess, the true meta of this game. Because as you guys know, the Bren was meta for quite some time. You can even argue that it's still meta despite it getting nerfed about like 3 or 4 times. That's not an exaggeration either. They just can't seem to get the nerf right for whatever reason. And then the Automaton would be the newly found meta right now after its update in Season 2. And, I just wanted to get to the bottom on which gun is the better option for meta and which gun you should be rocking at this moment. But before we do get into the video, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. And every sub does greatly help. We're about, like, 90 subs away. So, please help a brother out. Also, man, if you want to go follow my Twitch channel at alwaysghost_. Your boy posts, or your boy tries to stream as often as he can. But yeah, man. With that being said, let's get into this comparison. And then we have the Recoil Pattern for the Bren, which, as you guys can see, is actually pretty absurd considering how this gun actually acts. Like, the nerfs that they did on this gun have been like just interesting, because I feel like at some point after maybe like the 3rd or 2nd nerf, like you would think that the effects would start kicking in for this gun, but like that hasn't been the case. It's just for whatever reason they can't find the sweet spot on making this gun not as good, but also not making it completely trash. And so that has converted into it still being really good, people still using it as a really good LMG. And like, me using this gun, bro, I gotta be honest, like, it doesn't feel any different from when I was using it like a long time, or like whenever it was like truly meta without all the nerfs. The only difference that I'd say is that like the 2.5 scope, man, it's just like I can't use this scope. I don't know if people can use this scope, but like the 3 to 6 times scope, that's the scope to be using, bro. If you're not using that scope, man, I don't know, you're trolling, bro, because that scope is just it makes everything so much better. I've heard that this gun also this scope also gives less recoil, so that may be the reason why the Bren just doesn't feel like it has any recoil. Because as you guys saw with the Recoil Pattern, like that clearly shows it has some sort of recoil, but when you use the weapon with its attachments, it just like it doesn't move. And then on top of that, the damage on this gun is absurd. So you have a gun that doesn't move and has a lot of damage. Like, that's just the formula for being a godly weapon. And you would think that like at some point after like 3 to 4 nerfs, they would have found a way to make this gun not as powerful. And yet here we are like a whole season later and it's still a top gun in the game. Now the Automaton does have quite a few things, because to be honest, like in terms of damage and stuff like that, this gun just completely blows the Automaton out of the water. But good thing the Automaton has other things that make it a better option than the Bren, although it's severely outdamaged. And when we get into the stats, you'll just see how like severely outdamaged the Automaton is, because this Bren, bro, like you just see these clips, bro. You see how fast I'm killing people, man. Like, it's just unfair how fast I'm killing these people, because this gun is just ridiculous. And I'm honestly gonna sit here and tell you that this gun is gonna get nerfed at some point again. It'll probably be like in a mid-season update, or maybe even sooner, maybe until Season 3. But like, this gun will be getting nerfed one more time. And if it does, and if that nerf doesn't make this gun like, I guess, more balanced, then bro, they're gonna have to keep nerfing it until it does get balanced. Because you can't have this gun just running around consistently after update, just still being the good, like the godly gun that it is. Like, they need to figure this out, because they've been slacking, bro. This ain't the first time they had this problem where they can't figure it out after like 1, 2 nerfs. Happened with the Far a long time ago, and I mean now it's happening with this gun. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's just get into the Automaton and some stats. And then we have the Recoil Pattern for the Automaton, and as you guys are gonna see, man, this Recoil Pattern is literally the same as the Bren in terms of it going up really fast, but then like, when it's time to actually use the weapon with your attachments, that disappears. Like, in my opinion, that's a huge flaw. Like, you see that those recoil patterns, and you're thinking, okay, these guns are gonna have a little bit of recoil. But then all of a sudden you put on your attachments and whatnot, and it's like the recoil is just gone. And for both of these weapons to have no recoil, or at least be really easy to control, is just absurd. Because on one hand you have a gun that has a lot of damage with no recoil. Then you have another gun with the fast fire rate with no recoil. So they both kill really fast, and it's really easy to use. While their recoil patterns are literally crazy. You're thinking, okay, yeah, there should be some sort of recoil when I have these type of base recoil patterns, and yet here we are. But regardless, we're just gonna, you know, I guess that it is what it is, and we're just gonna move over to some stats. So for the first that we're gonna talk about is the fire rate for the Bren. We have a 600 RPM fire rate, while the Automaton has a clean 833. And obviously here the Automaton has a big advantage in terms of fire rate, and on top of that, what's it called, even if you do use fire rate attachments for any of these weapons, the Automaton's still gonna have a clear advantage in fire rate. And head-on like battles, like that's the one thing that's gonna save the Automaton, obviously, because the Bren's damage is pretty absurd in comparison to the Automaton. It's just, but the fact that this Automaton has a really fast fire rate, you know, helps it a lot. But anyways, we're talking about that damage for Bren. We have a 0.45 meters. 51 damage to the head, 47 to the neck, 37 to the chest and stomach, and then 34 to upper leg, lower arm, and 37 to upper arm. That's a very interesting damage profile. And then for 0 to 42 meters for the Automaton, we have 33 damage to the head and neck, 24 to the chest and stomach, and then 22 to the extremities. So obviously there, bro, like, as you guys heard, the Bren has completely just destroys the Automaton in damage. But there's a lot of other things that go on to this, because yes, the Bren has a lot more damage, but like there's a lot of other little things that the Automaton just has going for it, and we'll touch on that. I'm just gonna quickly just finish out the damages, but I don't want you guys to get completely like, just if you're an Automaton user, I don't want you to get completely scared that like, oh, the Bren is just so much better, why I'm not using it, because it's not necessarily all about damage. Like I said, the fire rate is already in favor of the Automaton. There's just so much other things out there that, in my opinion, put the Automaton over the Bren, although the Bren has this significant damage. But anyways, man, moving over to the longer ranges for 45 meters and above for the Bren, we got 45 damage to the head, 42 to the neck, 33 to the chest and stomach, 30 to the lower leg, and then 30 to the lower arm, and then 33 to the upper arm. That's just so weird to say. I'm sorry if that confuses you. And then 42 meters and above for the Automaton, we got 28 damage to the head and neck, 20 to the chest and stomach, and then 19 to the extremities. And so again, obviously there, even at longer range, the Bren is still way more powerful than the Automaton. But again, don't get too scared about the damage values. I mean, a lot of people don't already, but still people use the Automaton over the Bren, and that's just quite simple. It's just a lot of things that the Bren doesn't have going for it that make the Automaton a more like just better option for a lot of people. Like for starters, mobility wise, the Bren is like a goddamn tank on like in your hands. Like it's just so slow to move, whereas the Automaton is like a more versatile AR that you can, you know, run around and use it at every range, and just overall have a faster movement with it. Also, a big thing is the Automaton's clip size, or magazine size, I mean, is almost double Bren's. And trust me, bro, like I didn't think it was that big of a deal considering how much damage the Bren has, but 40 bullets on this Bren is just not enough. Thankfully, it's not enough, because could you imagine if there was a 60-round mag for this weapon? Like, bro, you guys thought the Broom was bad. This gun with the 60-round mag would have been, shit, it would have been way worse than the Bruin. So thankfully, at least they sorted that out. Thankfully, because man, that would have been hell to deal with. But like I said, man, 40 rounds on this gun, man, you wouldn't think it's that bad when you're used to an Automaton 70. Like, man, it's a big difference, because I'm sitting here constantly reloading. Like, it's at times it's just very inconvenient for me when there's like a lot of people there and like I'm trying to get a kill and it's just like I'm already out of ammo, I gotta reload it. It's just a whole mess. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, in conclusion, I think that all these weapons are obviously top tier. Like, they're really good at in Warzone, and there's no denying that. But when it comes to the question on which one is better, I just think the Automaton is better simply because of comfortability wise. Like the Bren, Obviously, damage-wise and all that is better than the Automaton. It feels better. It should be better, right? But, like, I think there's so much more little things that the Automaton does better, and just people lean towards it more. Like, right now, don't get me wrong, the Bren is still, I would say, used, but I feel like the Automaton is being used more than the Bren. Although the Bren seems like it's the better option. But for me, personally, I would definitely still use the Automaton over the Bren. It's the same thing like when the Kilo was meta and the Amax was coming up. You know, people acknowledged that the Amax was better, but like the Kilo was still king. And that's how I feel like the situation is as well, where like the Automaton isn't necessarily better than the Bren, but it's just more people are leaning towards it, more people are more comfortable with it, and that's just how it is, truthfully. But again, man, this Bren is still really, really good. You can't go wrong with the weapon, but I think the Automaton for me and a lot of more people is taking this one. But anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out.